All right, so move on to the next segment. We're going to pivot over here to the world of NBA. And in this segment, I'll be sharing the ceiling that I have for these respective NBA teams as we are approaching the NBA playoffs. We're a few weeks away from the NBA playoffs. So these respective teams are the ceilings that I have for their postseason runs heading into the NBA playoffs. Now, I don't have all the NBA teams for you guys today, but I have a good understanding of where these teams lie and where I do believe they have a good chance of going this NBA postseason. So we're going to start off with the play-in tournament. The teams that have a play-in, their ceiling is as high as a play-in tournament or as high as getting to the second round. So these following teams I do believe are stuck with their ceiling being as high as a play-in tournament or the second round. Starting off with the Sacramento Kings. As Sacramento Kings, I just feel like their ceiling is a play-in tournament because they have had a rough year. They just traded the franchise player in De'Aaron Fox. They fired their head coach Mike Brown. No offensive threat for the postseason out in the Western Conference. I think they'll make the play-in tournament, but they'll get bounced in the first game. Meanwhile, for the Phoenix Suns, this is another team that could possibly make it to the first round, but nothing else is going to materialize because this team is not good enough. Their roster is not good enough. They're not good enough to win a title. There's no true big man. Well, you're going to need a big man in this Western Conference to go on a run, but also driving your best players into the ground of having Kevin Durant and Devin Booker play 35 plus minutes in playoff games every single playoff game is not good enough to win an NBA title. So their ceiling is as high as a first round exit. Um, do I need to say a lot about? Do I need to say a lot about this Dallas Mavericks team? No, their season is dead in the water. I mean, they traded away Luka Doncic. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL. It looks like Anthony Davis is not going to return this NBA season, so they're done. They'll be lucky to make the play-in tournament at this point. The Atlanta Hawks out in the Eastern Conference, their ceiling I feel like is always the play-in tournament because after they made the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021, they have not sniffed shot at being a contending team out in the Eastern Conference. This team is not good enough. Trae Young does not have help. So again, their ceiling is going to be the play-in tournament. The Orlando Magic, I feel like they're a first round exit. That's their ceiling this year. This season they have not played well, and they're not the same quality basketball team that they were last year. And for the Miami Heat, I feel like their ceiling is as high as a first round exit. I hope it is a play-in tournament exit, so the Miami Heat could get a lottery pick. But the Miami Heat have just fell apart since the Jimmy Butler trade. They did get their revenge tonight playing against the Golden State Warriors. But I feel like this team is not good enough to compete with any of the top tier teams in the Eastern Conference, and you would have to play the Celtics or the Cavs in the first round. Respectfully, we would get gentlemen swept. So I feel like that's where I lie with those teams. Now, these teams I have on my list are second round exits, but they're down, but they're not out. So the following four teams I have on that list will be the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Memphis Grizzlies. I feel like those four respective teams are at the ceiling of being second round exits. They're down, but they're not out yet. And I got to say, the New York Knicks are on this list because, let's be honest, they are a good team. However, they have failed to prove to the media and NBA fans that they can beat the best teams in the NBA. I keep preaching about their 0-7 record against the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Thunder, the three best teams in the league this year. If you can't beat the best teams, who are you going to beat in the postseason? So I feel like the Knicks have regressed a little bit. I mean, Jalen Brunson has missed 2 weeks of action. And this team is starting to fade offensively. I don't know if the pairing of OG and Mikal Bridges is really the best wing pair for the New York Knicks moving forward. I'm just going to keep it at that. The Bucks, I feel like they've been inconsistent all year long. Giannis and Damian Lillard have really taken their time of putting up the points for the Bucks, but they've been inconsistent overall as a team, and that's alarming when you played 70 plus games together. Plus the unfortunate news of Damian Lillard having a blood clot. That I'm glad they caught that, and nothing but the best for Damian Lillard moving forward. Health is more important than the game of basketball for him. So if Damian Lillard's out, the Bucks are in danger of being a first round exit actually. But if I'm telling the truth, this team has honestly gotten worse offensively since they traded away Drew Holiday to get Damian Lillard a year ago. And Doc Rivers is not a good fit for this team at all. He does not know what he's doing with this team. And I hope he gets fired if they're a first round exit, because you're wasting years of prime years with Giannis and Lillard, a great offensive duo. The Los Angeles Clippers are okay. They got a good rotation. Of course, the star players are Kawhi Leonard, James Harden. I just don't think they have enough star power to go on a deep run. I think their ceiling is as high as a second round exit possibly. And then the Memphis Grizzlies, they're just too young. I just see too much inconsistent play. They're slipping in the Western Conference standings right now as we speak. And as of now, I just don't see the Grizzlies beating any top contending team out in the Western Conference in the first round. Excuse me, they could get, depending on who they play matchup wise in the first round, they can escape to the second round of the playoffs. But I think that's as high as their ceiling goes, second round exit. They're down, but they're not out. But I just don't have confidence in this team. A John Morant team that lacks the talent that they had years ago. This team is much younger. So I have a scariest team. I don't know where their ceiling is because I'm still judging it. Again, that's why I said I didn't have every NBA team. But this category is two teams that are the scariest matchups to match up against in the Western Conference. And I'm going to say the Lakers and the Warriors are on that list. Now, I think right now you have to legitimately say that the Lakers and the Warriors, these teams that are led by two crafty veteran stars in LeBron James and Steph Curry, are going to be scary teams to match up against in a 7-game series in the Western Conference. The Lakers, LeBron James and Luka Doncic, their chemistry has picked up quickly since Luka came to LA. And their basketball IQ, they are the smartest, most intelligent players in the league today. And they have playoff experience. LeBron James has been to 10 NBA Finals, 4-time NBA champion. Luka Doncic just brought the Mavericks to an NBA Finals last year in losing effort. But as I digress, the Lakers have also bought into JJ Redick's defensive system. So I feel like they're going to be a scary team out in the West, but the Warriors are still gaining my respect. Weekly, I pay attention to this team because they have looked nearly unstoppable since getting Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. Role players have stepped up. Jimmy Butler has stepped into that Andre Iguodala role, playing alongside Steph Curry. Doesn't have to do too much, but provides you great offensive basketball. He can pass the ball to get his teammates involved, plays well defensively, sits down and still plays great defense. This team is shooting better. They're getting to the free throw line. So I got to say, with the experience that Steph Curry and Draymond Green have as well, you still got to say that the Warriors are threats as well. And if they run into a young team like the Rockets or the Grizzlies in the first round, that opens it up for them to gain momentum. So that's why I got to say the Lakers and the Warriors are the two scariest teams in terms of teams you don't want to see in the Western Conference right now. I don't have a projected ceiling for them, but that's why I'll put those two respective teams right now. And for this team, this would be these four teams. I will say these four teams are their ceiling is Eastern or Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals or championship caliber team this year. So those four teams, I do believe that their ceiling as high as the Eastern Conference or Western Conference Finals this year, or winning an NBA title or appearing in the NBA Finals. That would be the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Denver Nuggets, the Boston Celtics, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now for the Cavs, I feel like they have proven themselves this year. They've been the number one seed in the Eastern Conference very comfortably throughout the season. They ran away with the number one seed. And the Eastern Conference, they passed several tests throughout the season. They pass the ball well, they shoot well, they play well defensively. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland played well at a great guard combo, and then the big man of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley have played well this year. But then looking at the Nuggets, I feel like the Nuggets are there. They have Nikola Jokic has the experience, and they know what it takes to get the job done because they just won an NBA title a year or so ago. But my problem is with the Nuggets, they are missing Nikola Jokic right now. But my problem with the Nuggets is Nikola Jokic can't do it all. They don't have the same depth that they had a year or so ago when they did win an NBA title. They don't have the same defensive effort. consistently on a nightly basis, which is alarming to me. But I still feel like this team is good enough to get to the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals this year. And then, needless to say about OKC and the Celtics, that could be an NBA Finals matchup this year. But the Celtics just have so many ways to beat you and dissect you and break you down. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White. This team has good rotation. I mean, they're good defensively. They got the experience now down packed. Some believe that they've coasted during the regular season. That's okay. I mean, they just won an NBA title last year, and you'd rather have your legs fresh for the playoffs rather than the regular season. And they're already a top 2 team in the East. So I feel like this Celtics team is good enough to win it all again. And right now, that's the team I trust the most based on their experience, how well they can play and turn it up a notch, and play well defensively. And then for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they arguably have the best player in the league, and SGA Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who could possibly win his first MVP this year. They're a really good defensive team. I think something to look out for in the Western Conference would be their big man, Chet Holmgren, as Isaiah Hartenstein. I think that big man duo can give a lot of teams a lot of problems defensively, and that was really the problem for the Thunder last year and why they lost in the second round to the Mavericks. They were a much smaller team where I believe they had Holmgren playing at the 5 and Williamson playing at the 4, which really wasn't good for them. And now they got size, and that's what you need for the postseason, especially playing out in the Western Conference. You're going to have to test yourself in the West in order to play in the NBA Finals, because I feel like it's either going to be the Celtics or the Cavs that get to the finals this year. So they're 2 teams that have twin towers, basically, or nearly twin towers. I mean, Al Horford isn't as young as he used to be, but he still gives you a threat on the defensive side of the ball. But I call the Twin Towers Evan Mobley and Jared Allen because of the threat that they possess on the defensive side end of the court. So we got to keep that in mind. But that is my projected ceiling for those respective NBA teams heading into the NBA playoffs. And we'll see how things play out with the NBA playoffs being a few weeks away in the NBA world.